Does she have to boil water or
I know.
wash her clothes on the scrub board?
They drawed the water out of the well for years. They were running water no kind back in the houses.
And y'all have to grow your own food? Y'all have a farm?
Yeah, the outhouses do.
We farmed all the time, but yeah. We'd go to school, come in, have to go to work when we get off school. We'd always have to milk cows, and before we'd go to school and milk them at night. Tend to the hogs and the chickens.
What were some of the things that happened while you were a kid that you remember most? Some of the events that took place, or
They didn't have many of them back then.
is that right?
What'd y'all do for fun?
Not much nothing. We played hide and seek and there was such stuff as that at night. And once in a while we'd ravel out an old sock and make a hole so with kerosene play with it.
That's what we learned.
Light it. Fireball.
Is that right?
Finally, after about the 4th grade, I started going to Kelsey School. It was a church-owned school. It only had 4 rooms, 2 downstairs and 2 upstairs. Had a gymnasium that had rooms that they taught classes in. That's the old church and old school still standing over there. Tore the gymnasium down.
Y'all didn't have any neighbor kids or anybody y'all played with?
Yeah, we didn't have much time to play. We was all the time working. When you was farming back then, you didn't have time to play much.
Did y'all plow with a horse?
We'd
Because I remember
ride-
you used to always plow with peanuts.
We'd ride, plow horses, mules, and everything we had. About the only time we
get that plow.
had a chance to ride them was in from work, but while we'd ride them into the barn. Field. No.
What was your dad like?
Oh, he's a hard working man. He passed away when I was only 15 years old. I had my mother and 2 sisters and brother to take care of. Trying to farm and go to school.
Did you finish all grades in your school or did y'all go up to a certain grade?
I got 3 credits finishing. I just got tired trying to farm and go to school too.
Yeah. So you were the oldest at that time? The oldest boy when your dad died?
Yeah. I had a brother, but he was staying at some other place, farming the lamb, and he wouldn't come back and stay with us and farm. Mother offered to give him the same deal that he was getting over there. But he
Who's that? Ed?
wouldn't.
Were you close with any of your brothers
Yeah.
and
And
sisters? Which one did you like the best?
this one more.
Which of your brothers and sisters did you like the best? Did you have one that you was close with?
I couldn't see no difference. Half brothers and sisters, all the same with us.
So how'd your... Go ahead.
When after my dad died, I went to the First National Bank down there in Gilman. I was only 15 years old. I told him who I was and told him about my dad died. he like $13 getting out of debt with him that fall. No. I told him I was taking on trying to farm. I said, son, I need a little help. He didn't ask me no question. He just said, how much you think you can get by with it? I bought, I think it's $75, and I thought I wasn't going to pay it back.
Wow.
Cotton was about 5 cents a pound.
Yeah.
How did he pass away?
I don't know. He was working, hauling gravel on the road in a wagon when he died. Got sick. It wasn't WPA, but something before that. That they worked so many days, and he like 3 days of getting his time in, so I had to go up there and finish his working in 3 days for him, hauling gravel with a wagon. It was really cold. They had a big fire built up over there, and I was standing by the fire, and they had this loading the wagon with hand and shovels. Somebody said, you better get over and get that thing out of there, so they're going to cover you up. The old horse and mules of the wagon. And, I guess they thought I wasn't going to pull that, I wasn't going to pull that wagon out of that pit there. So I got up there and hollered at them. And we had a little horse. I mean, you got down there on his belly pulling. Some nigga says, Lord God, says, what's that pony pool?
But he pulled it, huh?
Yeah, he got out of there.
So it must have been your dad's horse and mule then, huh? Or horse and wagon?
Yeah.
He leased it out to them then or something?
No, they didn't pay him so much for the wagon team a day for work. They pay you for the use of your wagon team, and then pay you for your time. That kind of done most all the road work with wagon teams.
So they were building roads with gravel?
Now they was driving old country roads where they get muddy and slick.
Getting ready for T-model.
Once in a while you'd see a T-model on the road.
Is that right?
I had the farm about 2 years after my dad died, and then I went to work for a guy working on the farm for $15 a month. He gave me my dinner. That was from sun till sun. You didn't have no 8-hour job there.
Mm-hmm.
So finally I got that 3 C's opened up, and I got into that and stayed 18 months, and I was out there in Arizona, New Mexico, and I was out there a little over a year, and my mother, I got word that she'd passed away.
What'd she die of?
And she died with a heart attack walking to a little old store about a mile from where we live. And I told him
How old was she?
she's 60 years old.
Joe?
I told him I was on my way. I got home and walked all the way out in Gilmer, out to where we live, about 5 or 6 miles. And got out there, and the neighbor said they buried your mother yesterday.
It was his sister-in-law that done that. His stepbrother.
So
Wow.
I stayed in the CC camp, I think, had 2 years.
What was the CC camp?
It's called a Civilian Conservation Corps. It was a thing put out by FDR at the time to boost the economy, you know, and
Oh yeah, that was what was his name? He was a,
Franklin Roosevelt.
yeah, he Secretary of State. Guy's name was Hawkins or something like that. Headed that, I think.
Yeah.
I remember seeing
It was like a civilian job corps, you know, it just gave people jobs, put money back into the economy, and also they did a lot of public works projects. So all you did was, you know, if you was too young to go in the army, well, that really wasn't a war on or anything at that time. But anyway,
Yeah, they paid you $30 a month, and your room, board, and doctor bills, and all that kind of stuff. I was working on the farm for $15 a month when I went in there. I got out of that, and about 2 years later, I was drafted in the Army.
so whatever happened to the old farm place, whatever, did your dad own that property?
No, I was just renting.
How much did y'all have to rent it for? How much was rent back then?
You just paid third and fourth, 4th year crop, whatever you get out of name.
It's called sharecropping. So they let you use
Yeah.
the crop, they let you use the land, raise crops, and then whatever you grew, then you gave them a certain percentage.
April
That's how deep
1942,
the money they gonna use.
Roosevelt sent me an invitation that year. Come into the United States Army. And we was coming from Gilman to at Tyler over here for a physical. We sworn in the Army. The bus is kind of drizzling and raining on a slick road that got off the road somewhere or another, and he lost control of it and run in front of the store and tore the knocked one gas pump down in front of the shed off that store. One old boy, he come in to complain about his back of being hurt, you know, and they rushed him out to the hospital. They brought him back. He thought he was going to get out of the Army. We went from Tyler to Mineral Wells. Stayed there about a week, and some lieutenant come down from Abilene, Count Parkley out there, and he picked out about 35, 40 of us, put us on a Greyhound bus and started out with us. He said, I guess you boys are wondering where you're going, what you're going to do when you get there. He said, they're going out here at Abilene, Count Barkley, and said they're going to make MPs out of you. They'd get out there and they'd work us, drill us all through the day, and we'd have to go and work town at night. Remember one time they had some AWOL niggers from El Paso, a little town out of Abilene there, Brady, and we had to go out there and pick them up. Sheriff called and told them we went down and picked them up, and they turned some of them CC trucks over to the Army, you know. We went out there with them old CC trucks, picked them niggers up. Them niggers said, it's young CCMPs. I said, we sure is. Old niggas over at Stockade, and they kept them there a few days, and then back then they had MPs riding the trains, and they sent me back over there to pick them up, carry them back out, put them on the train. No, nigga, he said, one MP all y'all got over there? I says, no, I says, I'm one of the roughest ones. They send me to handle all these prisoners. I didn't hear much out of him. And they had out the whole town, Brady, that them soldiers would get off over the weekend. They'd go over there and get drunk and raise Cain. They got to where they'd send some 3 of us over there over the weekend. Show the town over there. And then they brought one old boy. There's drunk to coming over there in a cab, and the cab driver must have been drunk with him. He went off the road. One of them old boys, he this top of his head is just all peeled off.
Mm.
They brought him in there and wanted me to help hold him down while they sewed his scale back on him. I thought I'd get out of there. I never got as sick of my stomach in my life. First time it ever happened. The other time they had a call over there, they had a junk soldier over there at the cafe. We went over there and got him. They had one old boy, it's the first time he ever been on MP duty. Old sergeant, the old boy, he's just raising Cain. And old sergeant says, somebody shut that guy's mouth up. And that old boy, he hit that old boy in the eye there with his fist and cut a big gash in it. He was bleeding. About an hour later, he said, you boys, let's go back over and see about him. Said he might need a little first aid on that. He went over. He just lay his flat his back, that blood run all in his eyes and his face. And we finally got him to, and he jumped up there and he said, what the world happened? I said, oh, I said, you must have fell against them bars or something, cut your head off. I know one time they sent a bunch of us to Fort Worth. We had a place up there we stayed to, and we'd ride the train from Fort Worth to Delhar. And we'd go up there. One time they had a big old boy, he was with me on the train, and he got off before I did. We'd always stop at Vernon. It had about a 30-minute layover there, and we'd just always get off there and eat. I got off the train and walking upside up, and I seen that old boy hit somebody and knock him. He was hanging on the side of that train, and he rolled him on down there. I seen he's an officer. I thought, what happened here? That old captain, he was drunk. Every soldier come by, he'd try to make them salute him, and that old MP went by and he said, you too, you so-and-so, and that old boy, and he just hung him on in the chin with his fist and rolled him off. So, they had the provost marshal had the MPs there in town. We called him. He come up there, and the old captain, he's up there, he's he's a major. He says, Captain says, I give you understand, said, you stand attention. He said, yes sir, no sir, you're addressing me. He popped them heels together, and he got up there, and he said, yes sir, no sir, here. Another time we run on to some bunch. I think it's 3 niggers on the train. They had a fifth of whiskey sitting up on the table, you know. We told them twice that they wasn't supposed to have that whiskey on there, that they better get it out of sight. They just giggle at us and that's no mind, it's playing cards. We went back there and this old boy, he passed by and he just got that bottle and stuck it under his arm and walked out. You're supposed to get your name and serial number and everything. Outfit they're with and everything when you take anything off of them like that, and they wouldn't give us nothing. No razor up the next room car there. We got him carrying back there and he got the papers and everything. They claimed to be MPs at Salt Lake City. They kind of kept raising Cain. We was fixing to call the MPs the next town and have them took off the train. They kind of quieted down. We got through the town. Some kid come back there and said, some soldier boys up there want to see y'all. Back up there and there's them niggers, and they went to fumbling around their hip pocket like some. And he pulled a little old camera out of his pocket, and take a picture of us, Said, we run across you boys again some of these days. And a civilian standing right behind me, he said, I thought he was fixing to come out of a knife. He was, I was fixing to cold cock him. Another time we were on there and we had one of them compartments like the porters and things stayed in. We take turn about sleeping at night, when we were on the train. My buddy, he already went up on the bed and had a bunch of drunk sailors on there. They just a cussing, they was raising hell. They talking about some of them talking about the MPs I'm sure. They said, we ain't afraid of them MPs, says conductor either. So they had women sitting all around in the coach there, where it was. They had an empty seat behind them. I slid up there and behind that seat. I said, you boys gonna have to watch your language. Said they've got ladies around here. And they was bragging about what they was gonna do, They just melted down that seat and I didn't hear no more out of them. I know one time I went up there and I had $100 and something in the billfold, and we had the little USO place up there. We'd spend the night. They had cots and things for us to sleep on in Delhart. And I messed around and took my billfold out and put it inside my pillowcase.
Oh no.
Next morning I got up and forgot about it. Come back to Fort Worth and I had orders to go back to Abilene. I didn't know whether to trust that old boy with it or not that I was with. But I told him that over a week and I never did hear from him. I called him, I told him, man, I need some money here. I got my payroll messed up here. He finally sent a check. There he goes to one of the officers to get it. Him to sign it, get it cash. We stayed there, and right after that, they was transferring all the general service men out to combat units. So they shipped me out to Fort Smith, Arkansas, Camp Chaffee up there, 14th Armored Division. They'd got up to their little 4 or 5 mile marches, They wouldn't let us go the first 2 or 3 times, thought we couldn't make it. finally got up about, I think it's 8 miles, and they told us we were gonna have to call out a full field packs and go on that hike. They on that old day go from New York up there. He said, boy, said, I sure feel sorry for you. I said, why is that? He said, not being used to this hiking. I said, boy, I'll be here when you gone. He come back, he laying there on his bunk, and he had a blister on his heel about that big. I said, boy, what's wrong with you? He said, oh, so them shoes just ruined my feet.
You'd been hiking all your life, huh?
Been flying with a shoe full of dirt and all that kind of stuff. I know one time we was on a 20-mile hike, and Lieutenant, we stopped to take a break, and he stopped and took his shoe off and began to pull his socks off, and he pulled off 3 pair of socks. And I said, man, how many pair of socks you got on anyway? He said, I got 3 on. If I'd had another, and I'd had them on. His feet all blistered up. I said, man, that's what's about your feet. I didn't even have on no socks at all. I said, here's the way I go. He said, boy, I said, I don't know how you do it. That taking me all them old boys from cities, you know. You
Yeah.
can tell all them old boys never had been used to walking, nothing like that. They begin to fall out, you know. I know one time we stayed up there and got through Arkansas up there. We was up there in the Ozark Mountains one time, and a bunch of truck drivers was out on furlough, and sergeant come in there and said, I want you to go up there and get out one of them half tracks. Says, Lieutenant so-and-so will be riding with you. I said, man, I ain't got no license to drive one. He said, you don't need none. We was going around them mountains, you know, and that old lieutenant, I think he was afraid of my driving. We got out and stopped to take a break. He said, you want me to relieve you? I said, yeah, you can if you want to. When we first went in there, they was interviewing us. They had them old tanks and everything in there. I operated a little old Caterpillar in the CC camp or something. We was out there just having more fun on it and anything else, running up and down the old roads and old ranches and things that had an old ripper on the back of it and a sheep-foot town. One time we were up there on a rattlesnake run on one of them old Yawkey dogs out there. Old boys with me says, oh, we'll push this thing over and says, we'll get that snake out of there. Went up there and got on that thing. That thing got on high center, you know, and it just sitting there spinning.
Oh, Lord.
I got out and off of it. He got up and he just ran around, he just dug it out and they just sat up there rocking on that thing. Old Foreman, he had a bunch of oil boys over there building a tank. He come back by there. He said, looks like you boys got hung up. I said, yeah, it looks like that. That one, it took us all morning. We had to jack that thing up, put cross ties on it.
Oh, Lord.
Get it over. After I went up there, Fort Smith, the old captain, he was interviewing us. He had my CC record. He said, I see where you operate a tractor in CC camp. I said, man, there must be some mistake. I said, I never operated a tractor farm. He said, you mean you raised on the farm, didn't never did drive a tractor? I said, we didn't afford a tractor, we had to use mules. I said, I knew what he's after. He's going to get you on his tank. You got on that thing, you just stuck there, buddy. I didn't want some of that.
Is that right?
He's a sitting duck, man.
Then they wanted to make me gunner on it. I told them I didn't want that either. And
Shut that door.
so finally we got through them, and they sent us up in Tennessee and Kentucky on maneuvers right in the dead part of winter. We only had 3 blankets to sleep on the cover with. So a pup tent, some morning you wake up and snow would have that thing right down your face. And me and the old boy from Kentucky, we got us one of them big old tarpaulins like they cover them tanks with. We spread that thing down, put 3 blankets on the ground, 3 over us, then they pull that tarp back over us. We made it pretty good. And one night we was out and we stopped at about midnight, I imagine. We stopped and I got to camp out for the night. The old sergeant, he seen we had that tarp. He said, how about you boys spreading that tarp out and all of us making our bed down on the ground and froze all this rock. I said, man, we got to cover up with that thing. He kind of got hot. I said, you know, if you want to get you out and get you one like we got it. We carried that thing all during the maneuvers. I don't know what happened to it when we got up there. Then we got off maneuvers, they had to streamline that division, so many thousand men before they sent it overseas. The old captain, he was gone on furlough, and I told that first sergeant, I said, don't get my name first on that list. He said, I can't do that. I said, you can too. He said, I put your name down there, but said, the old man ain't gonna like it when he gets back. So that old captain called me in after he got back on. I don't know what's wrong. I said, nothing's wrong with a good outfit, but I just want to move around a bit. And all it saved me, one of the old boys they had on this had me on in a spare. He got drunk and messed up and didn't show up the next morning. I got to take his place. I had to send them over there in Germany when it's hot over there. I seen some of the old boys after they come back from over there, sent over there replacements. And I asked them about what happened to them old boys. They said, man, said, you better be glad you got out of there. I said, all them old boys got killed over
Is that right? Wow.
there. And this, they finally sent us up in Camp Butler, North Carolina, and we stayed up there a month or so, and they was fixing to ship us overseas. And they give us a 30-day leave. We were supposed to report back to Pennsylvania. They were going to ship us out from there. And we went back up in Pennsylvania, and they decided they'd only ship us out from the West Coast. We got out there in the restaurant out there a week or so. Got on the boat there. And the first stop we made was Melbourne, Australia. We was on the water for about 30 days. And back then they had to zigzag every so many seconds, give them submarines from zeroing in on you.
Mm-hmm.
And we got in Melbourne, Australia, and a bunch of them niggers that went over there and told them people over there they're American Indians and married a bunch of them girls over there. They wouldn't even let us get off the boat there. We went on there from there on to Bombay, India. Me and 2 more old boys, we called us a buggy uptown. We got on the boat, and some old girl come running up there, shabbered something. They had a baby, and she's showing us it's a girl baby, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Over there, they bought their women, you know. And he said, I guess she must be wanting something to feed the baby on. He got a little change in his pocket, and he gave her, when she sewed that baby in his arms, she took off like a sage hen.
Oh, Lord.
He bought it.
Oh, Lord.
He said, wait a minute, I got to catch that woman. She didn't want to take it back either. So we stayed over there about 2 or 3 months, and then shipped us out from there over to Iran. Operating a railroad from Iran to Russia. Through Iran, hauling stuff to Russia. We got over there, had some of them old British and German engines over there, didn't have a headlight, or had to get out and sand the rail behind, on the grade or something. And after we got over there, we had them little diesel engines, like the switch engine they used to run. Two of them pulling them freight trains out there. They was getting out 2 trains a day when we went over there. After we was there about a week, we was getting out about 12, 14 train loads of stuff a day. And then 3 more old boys, they signed us on the work train. We stayed on the caboose, drove our own grocers and everything. And we just carry out stuff for them persons to work with. Pick up old rails and things to take off the track. We got our own rations, done our own cooking and everything on the caboose. And that old kid, we had a big first aid kit there, and had iodine, first one thing in there. Some kids found out we had it, and they'd get a little cut or something on it, you know. So if they wants a doctor, and we'd dab them with that iodine, you know, we had a big old bottle of it. They'd screw the term, they'd come back and next day and want you to do it again.
Yeah.
They got where they'd call me Doc. You know, there's a woman, she come by there, the baby one time. And she said she'd been to the doctor with him, and I wouldn't give her nothing lunch. Says, can you fix me up something for my baby? I said, yeah, I think I can fix you up something. We had a little coal oil stove. You know, I know I took a lot of coal oil and sugar on fruit and stuff when I was a kid. So I took a little jar and put about half full of sugar and poured about a teaspoonful of kerosene in there and stirred it up. I said, you give him about a teaspoonful of this after 2 or 3 hours. She come back the next day and said, that sure is good medicine. Maybe it's much better. Well, it worked. But over there, they wouldn't eat pork. And in India, it's this opposite. They wouldn't eat beef over there. Them old Bremer cows, they're supposed to be bad animals over here, and you'd have to kick them out of your way over there. We had to get that old spam in them 5-pound cans, you know, we'd open up the can up there and there, a bunch of them kids standing around there, and they called it hog grossi. Hey, you know, we told them that was grossi. They went out there and put their finger down the throat, and they throwed that up.
The Bible says that's unclean meat.
There's the old Indian soldier, he's guard on the train, come up there one time, said he hadn't had nothing to eat for 3 days. We offered him a can of corned beef, and he said, no, sir, they don't eat that. They don't eat beef. And Persians, they wouldn't eat pork. So we gave him a kind of fruit cocktail, and some old boy had some tea there, and he got in a bucket and made him a can of tea and eat that fruit cocktail.
So what part of Russia did y'all go to?
We didn't go to Russia, we just taking stuff up to Russian, up to the line there, and that's
Taking it from there.
Russia. They had guards, Russian guards on that train. The one time they had boys in there 14 years old in armies, and so did the Germans.
Mm.
They had one of the little boys, him and the other guys guarding on the train. They claimed that they drank that vodka just like drinking water. Big old glass like that. They got all drunk up on that stuff, and they just claimed that the conductor on the train there, the American soldiers trying to take their guns away from them. This little old kid, that conductor got off at a little old station there, and he shot him right through the back, just right smack through the heart, and killed him, then emptied his gun on his buddy. He was with him. He took out up through the hills there, and they stopped them trains for about over a day there. Fine.
Who shot him? The porter did?
No, Russian guard. He was only 14 years old. He took off to the hills when he done it. He shot his buddy too. They had two of them guards on the train. And the next day, when the Indian soldiers, somebody captured him up there in them mountains, and they brought him back down there. They didn't ask him no questions. They just put him right before the firing squad. They had some of them old, we had 400 and some odd miles of track there. And there's about 2/3 of that through tunnels, mountains. Some of them things seem like you never would get out of them. I know there's one long tunnel there that they had just had a little old pipe rail across there, and it had a big cave in on the side of it. You could kick a rock off in there and you never could hear it hit bottom. It'd just go out of hearing. And the little station there, you could look up on the side of that mountain, you could see where that train went in out that mountain, 4 different places. And see, that claim a German woman surveyed that track out through there. Except them Germans are the ones that stopped that stuff going to Russia. All they had done just plant some bombs in them mountains and them caves, and they'd stopped it for a few days.
What kind of stuff were they shipping? Food or what?
All kinds of stuff. That whole board, they had a plant over there that's making trucks. Once of them Russians come down there on the train, they drive a big convoy of them trucks back. We was down on the southern side of that thing. It's so hot there that you couldn't take a bath till after midnight, and they didn't have no hot water heaters. That water's so hot you couldn't take a bath in it till after midnight.
Like in a lake or just in the pond?
No, it's coming in through the faucets. You couldn't take a bath in it this hot. You had about 120 some odd in the shade. But up in the northern part it was cool. And we was about, wasn't too far from where Daniel's casting lines in over there. And some of the old boys went over there and saw it. They said that old pit and everything was still there. Like it was then. We stayed over there about a year and a half. And they shipped us, flew us back from Iran to New York. And they was thinking on shipping us to Japan. we was in on a leave, Thursday leave, the war ended over there in Japan, so it saved us from going over there. And it's,
Was that after Pearl Harbor and all that stuff, or?
yeah, that's the war in Germany had already ended over there, you know. That Japanese war was still going on. It ended while we was on our leave, so it saved us. They sent us up in Little Rock, Arkansas, guarding them German prisoners. And I had about 20 of them I'd carry out there to pick cotton in December. Some morning the ground would be froze. They'd carry old boys out there about 20 miles on an open top truck. I told that old, he's complaining about them Germans not picking no cotton. I said, man, could you pick cotton out there with it like that? He said, no, I couldn't pick cotton out there. I said, they can't eat. They'd get out there and try though, picking the first cotton they ever seen. That guy had 1,300 acres of cotton. He's pinning on them German prisoners picking it in December, and some of it had, 30 of it hadn't been picked. And we left in December. Sometimes they put you up in a tire there around the stockades where they kept them prisoners at night. You couldn't run one of them off. One old boy had a bunch of them out there cutting wood somewhere out about 20 miles from camp. And Rob left him. One of them out there, and he walked in, got in there about 1 o'clock in the morning. They didn't want to let him back in camp. Had to get the old boy up, had to tug him out there and just check his guard list and everything, mess around for an hour before they let him back in. And walking 20 miles to get back.
He wanted to get in the bed.
They get up that little tire. They had a trap door that went up in through the center of it. Had a little old coal stove up there. I'd fill that thing up with coal, get me a bucket of coal. I'd set it on that trap door where nobody couldn't get up without me knowing it. I'd go to sleep. The old sergeant, we had telephones up there. The old officer would come around, check us every once in a while at night. He'd go to come around, he'd call us on the phone and say, "You awake?" Oh, he's coming around. One of them, he said, "What would you do," says, "you see one of them prisoners climbing out over that fence?" I said, "You'd want me to shoot him. I don't know what I'd do." That's for Christmas, they sent us back to San Antonio, discharged us. Come back. Back in them trains, they had so many women riding them trains. They're just making it from one camp to the other, them soldier boys. You couldn't find a seat on that train, sit down and nothing else. I know I got on Dallas one night, 5 o'clock. Next morning I was still standing up on that thing. Couldn't find a place to even sit on your suitcase.
How many people riding it, huh?
Yeah, this old gals are going from one camp to another, making them soldier boys, getting their money. And next morning I was standing there and the 2 old gals sitting in the seat there. One of them wanted to get up and give me a seat, and I didn't know. I said, "I made it this far, I guess I can make it on." She said, "Well, so you get over here on with us." I got over there between them old gals and It wasn't long as I was asleep. I don't know what they got off. They was gone when I woke up.
So where was it you ran into old Minnie Pearl at?
There's an Abilene there. We went to pick her up. There's her and old Eddie Arnold and old Pee Wee King's band come up there and put on a show at the camp. Man, a couple old boys went up there to escort her back to town. Old Minnie Pearl, she's running around. I said, oh, says they come up here to greet me, says with the initials on there on MT for Minnie Pearl.
Until the year they got married, they had changed this one.
Come back to discharge. I landed back up there in Dallas. Old boy I was raised up with in Gilmer. He done got out of service.
Mama said that picture
He should have
later.
told her.
He's married into a family that run a brush factory up there. He only come out
See that
there and go
picture
to work.
later, and Pearl.
Back then they had he had a thing going. The Army paid you so much to go to a GI school.
Oh, but what did you do with that picture of me?
I never did have no picture of me.
Yeah, you
And I finally went out there and went to work with him. The government pay you so much, and then the guy on the brush company pay you that so much. You work overtime, you didn't get no money for it. They had an automatic shaper there, so they put me on when I went in there. And every time you change different kind of brush blocks, you had to change that form on that shaper. And then old Neil Gilbert, we was the only one that could even change it and set it up. And we'd make them fender brush blocks and floor brush, all kinds of different kinds of blocks. And every time you change blocks, you had to change that form on there. And they had them air jacks that catch them blocks, hold them. You had to know how to set them, release that block before it got to you, so you could change it, or it'd catch it before it got back around that cutter head. Fender brush block, you had to change it 3 times before it finished it. First time it rounded the end of it off. Next time it cut one side out, and then you had to change it, turn it right over, and cut the other side. That thing had 3 gears on it. You can change them gears in there and it'd speed it up. They want me to run that thing in high gear. So I had one of the old high bar stools and had a neat clutch on it to tell you off and stop it, started with it. And I watched that thing go around. I got used to sleepy. He couldn't hold your eyes open. I said, now one time old Neil Gilbert, he's a foreman in there. He's standing behind me. He said, man, said you're getting pretty good at that thing. Said you're getting where you run to sleep. I worked there, bro. I think it. 3 years, old man that first owned it, he turned it over to his boys. He come in there one evening, he had them fire me or something. I never did find out what it was about or nothing. And I said, man, that's the best thing that ever happened to me. They wasn't paying nothing no way. Old Neil Gilbert, he sent him back out the next day. He says, they want you to come back to work since they seen where they made a mistake with letting you go. I said, man, I've got a job, I don't need that. I did, I had a job. Go and messed around there about 2 or 3 a couple of years and went back by there, and they talked me into notion going back to work there. And they had a shield come back out, got cut her head, and they had a hole in the side of that thing you'd run your fist through. I said, who let them knives get out through that thing? They had them big old knives that made them floor brush blocks. He said, oh, so that nigger, he didn't tighten them blades up in that thing, slung them blades out there, they went through a man like a bullet, could hit him. And then one time they had an old boy working in there, and they had a molder that the old boy run the molder, throw a board back there and square the end of it up off. That old boy stood over there, he had some kind of sleeping disease, and he cut that thing up into 8-inch blocks, that whole 12-foot board. Sleep. I told him, man, you better get him off that saw there, he's gonna cut his hand or arm or something off. He had a brother working there, said they'd carried him to the doctor and everything else, but they couldn't do nothing for him. He'd just go to sleep, stand up and watch. Finally moved to Clarksville. Moved this back to Clarksville. They wanted me to go up there with them. Wasn't paying me enough money to get me to go up there. And so I went back out there. Brother-in-law, he was finishing concrete out there. He said, I think you can get a job out there if you wanted to. With me. So I went out there with him. They was pouring concrete or something in July, and the brother-in-law, he says, oh, I says, you better watch it, says, coming out here in this heat, says, man, working inside, says, it'll sure get you. About 11 o'clock, him and the other finisher, both of them sitting over there in the shade. Foreman come around, he says, good thing you come out here this morning, says, we lost that concrete, says, good. Keep them guys out of the shade.
Which brother-in-law you talking about?
That old, oh, Brian. Takes away. Laverne's husband come down there on the vacation. He never had work there, I don't guess, on part of work his life. He decided he wanted to go out there and make him a little money while he's on his vacation. Up there, that old black gumbo ground just like a concrete there, and they put him out there with a pick and shovel. I mean, that old nigger, he called him brother-in-law Red. He said, Mr. Red said, you ought to be ashamed of yourself, says, putting that poor boy out here.
Emily Burns already married now?
Yeah. She made him out of his first college at BYU. I just worked the construction work up there. 2 or 3 years, and then I got a job working on the Rock Island Railroad. Some days we just unloading and loading cars. Some days we wouldn't have nothing to do. The foreman, he just said, you boy, hide out somewhere. They had cars there that had candy busted up and chewing gum and stuff on it. They'd be shipping back to St. Louis or somewhere. We just get them cars, sit down and eat candy. Look around all day.
Just like BC.
Messed around. And back in 1955, I run across your mama up there in Dallas. working.
What was she doing? Was she actually working? She's actually working?
Wasn't that when she worked in the bank?
Was.
Wasn't that when she said she worked in the bank?
Yeah,
Played with money all day. Huh?
that's right down there. Their folks finally moved to Palestine, went to mattress business down there. And I went down there one time and I gave her a watch for Christmas. She thought I ought to give her a wedding ring. She got mad and went off to Utah.
Why do women expect that?
Yeah. BYU up there, you know, went to school 2 or 3 months and had to quit and go to work.
I didn't drop them like
Come back down there and old Maureen told her I was already married. She cried. Second beach. I tell you, 55, we went to Salt Lake City and was married in the temple up there. 3rd day of October, 1955. Back to Dallas, that's while I was working on construction work. We stayed up there a while, and she had to go back to her daddy and mama down in Palestine. I was back down there and went to work for nothing. Working for him. He never would pay me minimum wage. As long as I worked for him. Doing upholstery work most of the time.
How'd you learn how to do upholstery?
I don't know. Victor, he was doing it. He got mad and quit and left. He said, well, said, it's your turn. I just went to doing it.
You know, Edward did he ever didn't want to do no work? He always cocked his feet
Oh,
up.
Edward don't want to do nothing, sat up there, his feet cocked up on the desk, and he go up there to that Catholic church
You
and
mean
tell him.
Victor or Edmund?
Edward. He
Edmund.
tell him up there at that Catholic church, he's half interest in that place. His daddy asked him to come back there and help him do something, he'd so fit and quit. I don't know, when I first went to Palestine, they wouldn't even speak to one another. He's running that old filling station out there on Oak Street. They finally got in a good humor and come back. And neither one of him and Victor, neither one wouldn't stay with him no time, they'd leave.
Well, it's because he didn't pay him
But I stayed there with him, I hate to leave him, nobody had to do nothing.
I
He wouldn't pay me nothing either.
worked up there for a while too.
He always,
Every time I turn around, he's asking, you know, I need a raise.
we'd
Trying to give me about $5 more a week.
We'd pick up stuff all around down Elkhart, and Buffalo, and Fairfield, and all the places around there. And he'd want to wait till after he closed to carry that stuff back. He'd ask one of them to help him. And oh, says, I got something else to do. He said, you want to go down there and help me unload that stuff? That's all free work, you see, after hours.
Good, yeah, time and a half.
And
He couldn't take it.
after this boy got to where he couldn't do
I remember he
nothing,
used to do that a lot too.
Victor come up there and he says, son, says, what you gonna charge me for coming up here and staying? He said, no, says, I'm making $300 a week when I come up here. He wasn't doing nothing but carrying him to the bank once a day and carrying him down to eat, and he's paying for his meal. He put me working on commission. And I got a couple of chairs and I done over for a guy that went up there and have them on. The guy had his material. And Monday morning I was riding to work with him. He said, "You live his share?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Where's my part of it?" I said, "I don't guess you had any part. That's all labor." He goes, "Oh," said, "I had threads and machinery and all this kind of stuff." I said, "If I want to give you all my labor," said, "I might as well get me a wood bill and go picking with the chickens." Victor carried him off up there to Corsicana and locked that shop up. And, oh man, he had that place willed to me because they wouldn't stay with him. He said, "You've stayed with me all this time." I said, "I want to see if you get this place." This poor Victor carried him off up there. He carried him down there and made him make out a will to me and him both. Deed.
This was Victor stuck his lock on.
And he stuck a lock on there when he carried him off, and I had to rent a place to do my work in.
I told you,
Half the building
both
both been mine.
cut them locks off. Cut them off.
And he come in there, he had a whole lot of antique stuff in there, boy, a whole lot of money. And he come down there, Victor did, and sold that stuff off, and never would tell that old man what he got for that money or nothing. Just stuck it in his pocket.
Well, he didn't get, he got, you know, he got probably a pretty good price, he didn't get what it was worth.
Yeah, but
Yeah, Grandpa used to have a whole filing cabinet full of jewelry, diamond jewelry.
yeah, he got all that stuff, got all his
All his old coins.
coins. He had a
People
box
would
of
come up there and
He had a
Grandpa
box
give them a
that
little
had
bit of money for their jewelry.
$100
and
bills
they
in
would come back and
sitting
get it.
under his bed out there every time I'd go to the bank, he'd say, "Get big bills, get big bills." He'd take them out there, stick them in that box, he wouldn't put them in the bank. Afraid the income tax was gonna get him. And Victor's got all of that. He said, "I don't know." He said, "Reckon Daddy hid that money up here somewhere." I said, "No, Daddy didn't hide that money up here. He had that money out there tied."
Victor had that money.
You seen it brick out of the side of the wall inside there. He said, "Reckon he hid that money in there."
And then that's when Victor, hey, that's the year Victor paid off his land, paid off his trailer and everything.
Bought a trailer out, paid it off.
He had that trailer on like a 10-year note. He paid off that year.
Grandpa,
Grandpa
Vicky
money.
and Wanda cars, she bought Vicky that Monte Carlo
Vicky.
and bought her that trailer house.
No, Vicky got that when she had that accident.
No, he gave her that land there. He told us he gave her that land.
Well, he
And
got
that
every
trailer
land,
house,
but
he
the
bought her that trailer house.
trailer house, she bought it, but it got repossessed.
And he bought it for her.
He didn't buy it. I was going to look
I
at
worked around there after
That's
he
where I bought
left
my
there.
trailer out from when they bought theirs.
A couple of 3 years. They built a church up here. They wanted to cut storage up here, so I put in for it and give them the job.
There was
I
no
worked there
Vicky
for
and no
10 years.
Thomas broke up. The trailer got repossessed. Somebody paid it.
They paid me $7, 6 cents, I think, an hour. Last year, told me I was getting too old and let me go.
Yeah, you remember when Vicky had that accident with that guy? I know, when he got going around this curve 100 miles an hour, flipped that car, that pickup he was in about, rolled over about 3 times. And that gear shift knob stuck her right there and came off of her. Threw her out of the car, out of the truck, about 500 feet. They couldn't even find her when they first came up with her. They didn't think she was going to live. And then they thought she was going to be perfect.
About the time Vickers, see that?
Don't have Vickers. Well, what kind of person was your mom? What kind of person was your mom?
Oh, she's good. She had to go to field work just like we did way back then.
Raise the kids too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, and pull cotton, pick cotton. She died at a young age, 60 years old. Same time she was walking that little old store and just fell and died. Heart attack, yeah.
Yeah, heat stroke or something.
Uh,
Cold. You went down.